Say what's up in the chat. Tell me what city you're in and tell me how many employees you have, what industry you're in, or if you're job hopping. Looking for a job, I want to know that too. I'm just not used to Zoom. That's the only problem. Q&A. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're here. Oh, there you guys are. Hey. Okay. Chat is disabled. Awesome. Dang it. That's okay. All of you are like, Christy, the chat is disabled. All right. I don't want to waste your time, but I'm just going to check really quick and see if I can make it active. Next time, does anyone want to volunteer their time to hang out and help me with this stuff? All right, I'm not going to be able to enable the chat. That's a big bummer, but that's okay. Next time we can improve. But can you all see my slides? Thank you, Julia. Please, thank you for not judging me, right? Is this not like so reflective of a day in the life of HR too? You're like trying to do everything by yourself. We got a lot in common. Okay, you can see my slides. Let's go. I'm still curious where you're located now that I've wasted 6 minutes, but I'm going to jump right into this. Please still tell me what city you're in and how many employees you have. I would love to know. But in the next hour or so, there's going to be plenty of time for Q&A. We're going to talk about SHRM's current situation and what it means for you and how you're going to get out of reactive HR. Okay. And you're going to still lead your companies and you're going to look like a boss at what you do, regardless of the shenanigans and company drama that's unfolding with SHRM. I promise. I know your time is super duper valuable, so if you stay at the end, I actually have some goodies for you. I'm going to send you my executive business case to get buy-in to send surveys in a way that they can't say no. This is what I do. I create templates and scripts for you so that you are more equipped to get the executives to basically get out of your way and let you do your job. I also have one that's not listed here. I'm going to give you my engagement translator into ROI. A lot of you were asking questions about how to get executives to understand why it's a good investment to scale your team, why it's a good investment to, um, invest into culture initiatives. And I've got you. I will send that to you as well. So I'll give it to you at the end. If you don't know who I am, I don't know what part of the internet you found me, whether it was TikTok or it was LinkedIn. Here's the deal. Who am I to tell you any of this? I promise I know you really, really well, but I did not work in HR. I was the disengaged employee. Okay. And that's why this content works because at times I was a very high performer. I made it all the way up to VP of marketing. I was a marketer, but I needed an HR leader who was properly staffed and taken seriously because I spent a lot of my career miserable trying to figure out why do I always slip into this trauma response of disengagement? Because that's what it is. So, in a really sick, silly joke of my life, the universe let me work for an HR tech company. So, in my marketing career, like basic job description of what I did, it was persona research. So, I talked to thousands of you, which led me to host two podcasts, Flip Flops and People Ops and Corporate Christie's, like the version 2 grown up black sheep version of everything that I say. But I became an HR thought leader with no HR experience. And but it's because this is the missing thread of the conversation is what does the disengaged employee want? Some of what I teach you is things that I've made up, like this is why we don't take your surveys. This is what I wish someone would have said to me to get me to take it so I could understand what it was for. But I've also obsessed over Gallup's research and I'm always reading the latest insights and whatever I can wrap my hands around to understand organizational psychology and workforce psychology. And when I found out though that all of you just weren't taught how to send surveys. You weren't taught how to go get budget. SHRM didn't equip you to properly advocate for more resources in terms of revenue. That made me really mad for you, which is why we're here today. I've spoken on stages to all of you. I've run around in wigs to act out the different characters of a business. My favorite is Tony. He's the crazy revenue obsessed CEO who just doesn't understand that the path to more revenue is a healthy, funded, resourced HR team where he has a relationship with Julie, a healthy working relationship where they can talk strategy together. And whenever he gets revenue obsessed, Julie will pull him out of his revenue trauma response and be like, dude, the people drive the revenue. So wherever you found me, I have content everywhere. The whole goal is to help you become equipped And I've got an exploding inbox full of all of you telling me that my templates and my scripts help you. And I have more to share on that at the end, how you can get access to basically everything I've made. But just know that from the bottom of my heart, I'm so obsessed with you all. I hate what's going on with SHRM, and we're going to talk about that briefly. Then we're going to have you leave this webinar with some very practical takeaways that you can put into practice today. We're not just going to crap on SHRM the whole time. We're going to give you like a quick schooling in what SHRM hasn't taught you, okay? And a taste of what I can help you with. But first, let's just air the dirty laundry, okay? Wherever you're at with your understanding of what's going on, let me give you the quick version of what happened. So, SHRM, the group that tells us all how to handle compliance and fairness and accountability, they were hit with that $11.5 million verdict for racial discrimination and retaliation against one of their own employees. So that's already pretty bad. That is not a good look as the global head of HR. But to make it worse, before the trial, SHRM actually asked a judge not to consider them the global authority in HR because it might make the jury expect them to follow the same practices that they teach everyone else. And HR leaders everywhere, just like the reaction has been so like, SHRM, what are you doing? So, this organization that claims to set the standards for the entire profession tried to distance itself from its own standings in court. And that alone kind of tells you everything. But instead of taking leadership or having an ounce of humility, they went on LinkedIn and really embarrassed themselves and posted what could only be called like a toddler temper tantrum. They were defensive and dismissive and completely misaligned with the standards that they expect HR professionals to uphold. So when you combine the lawsuit and the tantrum and their long history of being out of touch, which a lot of you were telling me for years, I knew SHRM was a problem during my research talking to all of you. When they started watering down DEI and prioritizing conferences and weird speaker choices over competence, like they had celebrities speaking who had no business being there and just selling you certifications that did not prepare you for real strategic HR. That's the big evil doing here that just is like, it's enough, okay? So it's not surprising that this hit a nerve. It wasn't a shock, but it was confirmation. It was a very public confirmation of what HR has felt for years. If you have a SHRM certification or you're studying for one, or you're just feeling a little bit embarrassed, I just want you to know it's going to be okay. All right. I'm sorry this is happening, but this moment needed to happen. SHRM has been wobbling for a super duper long time. And I think most of us just, we've known that like at some point they're going to be found out. So this verdict has just brought to the surface what we all knew needed to happen. It's like a really bad pimple that you're like, oh, it's finally ready. Get rid of it so we can heal. So if you are a grounded practitioner level, um, like in the trenches leader right now, and you're just feeling like this is like so dumb and embarrassing, and what are we going to do? I want you to go read Christy McCann Flynn's post. I can put a link to it in here. Ah, I can't. Can I do my own question and answer? Shoot, the chat is not enabled, but that's okay. But go look up Christy. She just had like a really powerful post. She absolutely nailed it. Her post was basically like, this is not an HR crisis. This is HR finally taking the wheel. Okay. Yep, it was LinkedIn. Man, I wish I could enable the chat. Really quick, I'm going to pause and see if I can. Does anyone know how to enable chat on Zoom? If that's like a weird tribal knowledge that you have, that would be great right now. I can't believe the. Yeah, Julia, if you can find the post and put it in the Q&A. Okay, great. Thank you. I love HR leaders are so helpful and tactical. I love you guys. But my honest take here on all of this had to happen. And if you can get your company to pay for SHRM, go ahead. Like I know those credentials will probably still have weight for a few years. These changes take a long time to happen. But if you're paying out of pocket and you want to invest in your education, I think HRCI is the way to go. Oh, shoot. Julie's like, Only I'm going to see the link in the Q&A. That's okay. Okay, we're going to figure this out without a chat, okay? It's okay. We're going to be okay. How about this? I'm going to email everybody everything I talked about at the end. Is that fair? Okay. I will send you Christie's post. Um, but what I was saying was, if you are paying out of pocket, it sounds like HRCI is the wiser investment because remember, I was the disengaged employee. I don't have to go take these tests. I think it's pretty wild that you all have to pay out of pocket and go get certified all the time. But like, I get it, but I didn't experience that in marketing, and I hate that for you all. But HRCI seems to have a lot more credibility to um, hold up in a day in the life. I'm sorry, I'm pausing because someone's telling me how to enact the chat. Everyone just hold on a second. To enable chat during a Zoom meeting, the host clicks the chat icon in the toolbar. Dang it. Duh. Then the three dots, more settings. Oh, great. I think we did it. Julie, you saved the day. Everyone, the chat might be open now. Yay, Jamal. Hey, Jamal. Okay, guys, thanks for your grace. I'm so sorry. It's okay. Carry on. Onward. I love you guys. Okay. I did type something up if you want to take a screenshot of this. If you are interviewing and you're being asked, maybe why you don't have SHRM certifications, or if you're deciding not to re-up and they're like, what do you mean? It's going to take a while for people to catch on. A lot of us are training executives right now. There's a lot of thought leaders out there like me and several others who are educating the CEOs saying, drop the SHRM requirement. Okay. So don't worry about that. We're taking care of it for you. But if you need to explain this, you could just simply say, because this is like such a boss thing to say, Sherm's currently under fire for serious misconduct, and no longer represents the standards that I hold myself to. I choose certifications and training that align with the practical, revenue focused HR approach that I bring to organizations. And the revenue part, if you're like, yeah, I don't know how to do that yet, though, Christy, that's okay. That's what I teach you. That has been the missing thread that for some reason you all aren't taught, like how to map people problems as revenue solutions. But that's what we're doing here. So you can say this and it's true. Okay? I'm going on to the next slide. If you wanted to take a screenshot of this, here's your chance. Three, two, one. Okay. All right. So let's get into what I wanted to talk about today. Whatever about Sherm. We need to get you out of reactive HR. We need to focus on the real problem, which is a day in your life and how full of stress and pressure that you are expected to just do the impossible with no resources and do it with a smile on your face. This is why I go viral on TikTok. This is what I talk about all the time. I know you all are miserable and exhausted, but it's felt like there's not been any other way, okay? Because if this is all you've ever known, this is how it feels like it's supposed to be, and it's a noble mission, but we're done with reactive HR, okay? Because this is not only exhausting for you, it's bad for employees. It was bad for me to have one of you who are so incredible be so underwater because we had so many issues on teams that you were never going to know about. And it's also bad for the bottom line because us employees are driving the revenue. So when we don't have access to you or there's no feedback loop, which I'm about to show you, you're always going to perpetually be stuck in reactive HR, solving all the messes that the leadership team created for you because they're leaving you out of meetings, because they don't see your value, because they're goofballs. But it's because you haven't been shown how to properly map all of what you're doing to ROI numbers and data. And because I love AI, I love AI. I love this golden age of AI. It's like I just want you to feel super seen before I go into what I'm about to teach you. If you're like, did she make this up? A lot of it I did. But up until now, it's just been like corporate whack-a-mole for you, okay? I've seen some super clear patterns, and I just want to make you feel seen, heard, and validated up, down, sideways into next Wednesday. If you are exhausted and constantly short on time, and you're secretly laying awake in bed at night wondering if at times maybe you're the problem, maybe if you just work harder, maybe if you're just better and more excellent, no, you are not the problem. When I learned about a day in your life, I nearly screamed. I thought I was busy as a burned out marketer. Okay. Life in that situation is also exhausting. We've got campaigns and email blasts, and deadlines are changing, and the ad was wrong, and we just blew $10,000 on an ad that wasn't properly targeted, blah, blah, blah. But you all, on any given day, you do so much in the background that nobody has any idea about. I certainly didn't. And you context switch like crazy. You're handling payroll, compliance, policies, benefits, firing, onboarding, hiring, internal comms, conflict management. You're looking up tax codes on your lunch break. You somehow also attend meetings. And it's like you're constantly getting interrupted also by employees like me. I used to be this person because someone just found out they're pregnant, someone's getting divorced, someone has a question about their 401k. A crazy manager complaint rolls in, and then the manager comes rolling in complaining about the employee and wants to put them on a PIP. And you're like, did you ever have a growth conversation with them? And they're like, no, I want to fire them. This is what keeps you stuck in reactive HR. Your teams are way too tiny and under-resourced. We're gonna talk about how to fix that, but for now, I just want you to know that what you've been asked to do is completely unrealistic, and I'm in awe of all of you that you even made it this far and that you're like, yeah, this is what I do. I'm curious if this image resonates with you. Please tell me now that the chat is active. Does this feel like on any given day, week, or month? Does this feel like a day in your life? Did I nail it? While I'm waiting for you to react to my wittiness on AI, we're going to talk about four corporate myths, four falsely held beliefs that are keeping you stuck. We're going to smash them and we're going to completely reset your mind frame, okay? The first myth is that you should be quote unquote better at HR by now. A lot of you tell me this. You're like, I've been doing this for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and I'm like, I feel like I should be hitting my stride yet. No, because HR content stinks and it's misleading. And this was my job when I worked at an HR tech company. I was looking at the content that you were ingesting and I was like, what is this? HR content is all over the place. So, what I'm about to show you is something that 1% of 1% of HR leaders know, which is the difference between employee experience and employee engagement. Because how is it possible that when you go to search, like, okay, how do I drive engagement? How do I raise engagement? We've got 18 drivers, we've got 7 components, and then employee experience gets thrown in the mix. Those sound similar, but they're different. I'll show you. It's like you've been sent on a wild goose chase. And it can be really confusing because there's such conflicting information out there. And I know you've read some of these and you're like, "What? Thank you for the buzzword soup and wasting 15 minutes that I did not have. You didn't tell me anything." So let's get clear right now. No one's going to be able to tell you. No article, no outside source is going to be like, this is the magic key to drive engagement at your company, which is, driving engagement is the most visible thing that your CEO is actually looking for you to do. This is why they think you're like not doing much because you run so much of the business in the background, but employee engagement and the bottom line, which is employees doing their best work, revenue, that's what they're looking for. And if you don't understand the difference between this because SHRM never taught you, then you're going to be like accidentally chasing other people's targets. No one can teach you how to drive engagement except your own employees. And what I teach you is to go get those answers through the proper use of surveys. We love surveys when you do them correctly. But right now, I'm going to walk you through the difference between employee experience and employee engagement. And you're going to remember this for the rest of your career. It's actually really simple. So if you want to screenshot this, this is an easy way to remember it. Experience is the input, it's the day to day. Engagement is the output, it's what you get as a result of the day to day. So, input, output. Employee experience is dense and messy, and it's every moment that unfolds on Teams from the moment we found out about your company through what the interview process was like, what onboarding was like, and what daily life on the team is like. And then engagement is always in flux. It's those moments added up over time where we're like, do I even want to work here? So, employee experience is when we're thinking, does this company care about me? And employee engagement is when we're thinking, do I care about this company? Okay. To make this even make more sense, Employee experience is like this messy, awkward, terrible journey on this roller coaster that this employee's on. The mistake that most HR leaders make is that they measure engagement and they send a survey, they see it's low, and they're like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" And they go read the articles and they try to act on some of the feedback and some of it doesn't work and it's like it's scary because you see all this negative feedback, but it's actually a lot easier than you think to act on the negative feedback. We're going to talk about in a minute the employee hierarchy of needs. A good HR leader will go take the negative feedback and go start to fix the roller coaster, the broken moments, and try to fix them in the right order. You can see the employees still not having a great time, but the thermometer is rising. You can still drive engagement in times of great disengagement if employees start to see that someone's taking action on their feedback and the things that they said were broken are being fixed. And then over time, when you send enough surveys and you have a big enough team, I know you're thinking, I don't have time for this. We're going to scale your team. When you have a properly staffed team and enough resources to act on the feedback, and you're proving to the executives, this is how this drives ROI, you can keep going and driving engagement becomes really fun because it's a never ending initiative that you should be on. But when you're an HR team of one or an HR team of two, there's no time for this. But this is where the future is headed. The employee experience is so paramount to revenue, and it's the daily blockers on our teams that the executives are trying to figure out without you. You actually hold the keys to what would get us to wake up and care and do our work better. And it sounds like a bunch of negative, angry, whining complaints, but it's actually like we are closest to your customers. We are the ones doing the day-to-day work. And sometimes you would never know this. It takes 17 steps to log a new deal in Salesforce. And we're like, oh my God, I hate my job because when we have to do dumb things in a weird order because we're not innovating, it starts to make employees nuts. And that's when we have a trauma responsive disengagement. It's just our reaction to the day-to-day life on teams. This takes a lot of time. This, we would say you could get to here like a year or two after you started getting in a regular survey cadence and just totally resetting. But this is what, hopefully, I hope this made sense. There is a huge difference between employee experience and employee engagement. And it's very important for you to understand how one leads to the other. If anyone has any questions, let me know, but I'm going to keep going. Kristen asked, oh, hey, Kristen. When it comes to driving experience and acting on feedback, how do you as an HR leader drive towards change when everything has to be fully approved by an entire executive team and founders who rarely want to make actual change? Yeah, we're going to put a dollar value on what you're doing. I'll show you at the end. Here's the thing, my webinars are dense because there's so much to talk about. And spoiler alert, at the end, I'm going to tell you, I have a masterclass that teaches you all of this because it's a big topic. But that's a fantastic question. And the short answer is you show them, if we don't solve for this, dude or sis, these employees will be, there's data, they'll be less productive. We will be 23% less profitable. We will have 51% less turnover. All you have to do is take these stats that Gallup has and in the takeaway I'm going to give you, and you're going to say like, we're going to leave all this money on the table if you don't let me do this. And if they still don't let you do it, then you don't work there. But that's a last resort. We'll talk more about that at the end, Kristen. Okay, here's another quick myth. Let's say you understand that you need to send surveys. Great, awesome. You're sending surveys and you get all this negative feedback. It's like an angry dumpster fire. Okay, you think you have to like figure out what to act on first. What was the loudest? No. Gallup has already figured out when you get negative employee feedback, you don't pick the loudest thing. You don't just guess and be like, ooh, this is really visible. They said they don't feel appreciated. Let's put in a peer recognition program. No. Here's how you nail it every time and give employees only what they need. Well, hold on. Let me show you this and then I'll go back to the metaphor. There is something called the employee hierarchy of needs. And I know Julie's here. She's an HR practitioner, and she told me this blew her mind when she saw this. She had no idea. Just like Maslow's hierarchy, where you can't worry about being a famous pop star on a stage before you have food and water. Okay? You can't worry about being your highest self, or you can't worry about friends and relationships if you're starving and wet and cold. So this is the employee hierarchy of needs. And as your formerly disengaged employee, I can tell you this is exactly what we need you to focus on. Most companies are stuck on the bottom rung of I know what's expected of me at work. What's really cool is these are actually also your engagement survey questions, so it maps perfectly. Okay, you don't have to make up survey questions either. I know what's expected of me at work is typically there's too many deadlines. Our manager is constantly like putting us, everything's urgent. We're not using project management software. I'm doing three people's jobs and I'm getting paid for only one. This is the stuff that makes us quit, or this is the stuff that makes us resist, that causes issues for you and causes a super cut deep impact to the bottom line. So you never have to guess what when employee feedback comes in, like what should we work on? Because this is something that often happens when you make that mistake. You hear employees say, "Oh, I don't feel recognized," or "I don't feel like I have a path to grow." That's great. You have that data, but it doesn't mean employees are ready. Very often we would be joking at the poor HR leader, like, "Why are they giving us this? We don't, who cares about a path to grow at a company that we don't even want to work at?" And it's because employees were much more likely stuck on these bottom rungs. All of this is in my masterclass, okay? If you're like, duh, 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 screenshot, screenshot, it's okay. I have all of this. I can give it to you in one whole course. Um, because this is often how it feels to us. I know a lot of you are like lifelong HR careers. You love HR, you're passionate about HR. Let me put you in a day in our life, in our perspective as the disengaged employee. Sometimes you accidentally come across to us like Goofy, like in that image. Imagine you walked up to a homeless person on the street and your choice to help them out was to give them some sparkly glitter tap shoes. And they were like, "Thanks. I have much bigger problems, but thanks for the sparkly shoes." It's almost like uncomfortable for us that we're like, "Do you really not know how bad it is out here?" But oftentimes you don't. So, this is something to keep in mind. Your employees, when you send surveys, there is a hierarchy to make sure you fix things in the right order to build trust. It's you can tell employees like, "I know you told us these other things matter. We're going to get to those too." Right now, you can even show this to employees. They'd love to see this. It might be over their head. It depends on your industry, but when people get to have when we get to have insight into why you're picking the things that you are, we kind of love to see the process. So you could share this slide in your all hands and you could say, "I know you told us you don't have a path to grow here, but right now we're going to get clear on job descriptions. We're going to do some manager training and we're going to make sure that the leaders of these teams are properly budgeting for your time because you're telling us you're all burned out." Okay? All right. Oh, this one's in the wrong spot. Let's see. We're going to talk about myth number 3 now, which is that you don't deserve any resources. Executives, they do this to you all the time, don't they? You're the last to get headcount budget. You have no bandwidth. It's because you're speaking your native language of empathy and they're not hearing you because they are desperate for your help. Okay? This is what Kristen was just asking. Hold on, let me go back. We need to teach you how to tie everything that you're doing back to revenue and the business KPIs that your executives care about. Every company is different, but when you listen in the all hands or you sit in the revenue meetings, and I have a script to get you in there if they're not going to let you in, if they're like, "You're just HR." No, 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 no. No, you are revenue driver number one if your job is to look after the revenue drivers. You need to be in those revenue meetings. You listen for what your executive cares about. It's going to be the bottom line, it's going to be churn. I've got a speaking fluent revenue cheat sheet. They have all these words that they're using, but you're thinking in terms of people and empathy and do the right thing and innovate. And they're like, "Money, money, 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 money. Keep the board happy." But you're saying the same stuff in different languages, and you just have been misunderstanding each other. And when you bring people problems to a CEO, they're like, figure it out. Okay. But we can't keep going like this. We got to teach you how to do this and be comfortable with it because an HR team of one or a skinny HR team with 900 employees, this is like working in a restaurant where the chef is also the waiter and the busser, the dishwasher, the host. Like this would never happen in real life, but this is what's happening to all of you in these very skinny HR teams. And it's bad for business because you can see how ticked off everybody is and they don't understand. And they're like, "Why are you doing this? Why is this so bad?" This is what employees are subconsciously thinking and why sometimes we think, oh, HR is not our friend because we only see you when stuff is scary, when there's a layoff, when someone's getting fired, or when there's conflict. So when you have a larger HR team who specializes, we can see more of you guys and start to see that HR is totally our friend and they're actually looking out for us. And this is an aspect of my masterclass. I have you kind of take this quiz and do this assessment on yourself. Like you have natural gifts and tendencies and natural talent. Human capital management is actually I've parked it into three different lanes, which is HR, people ops, and talent management. HR is the structure builder, the systems, the policies. Actually, I have a different slide I could speak to for this, but hold on. HR is basically for building the structure. People ops is different. People ops owns the employee experience and they're the ones sending surveys. They're the ones like they love to fix. They're like, what's wrong? How do we go get all the information about what's wrong? Talent management focuses on how do we get people to want to stay? How do we get the right people in? How do we get them to see that there's a path to grow and train them as tomorrow's managers? So you have a natural lane here. I'm not saying you need to go switch tomorrow, but you're probably gravitating toward one or two. I like to joke it's like the Enneagram, you can have a wing. But if human capital management, the whole point of like this whole function of you is to drive revenue, right? Because employees drive the revenue and you help them do their best work. Great. HR is focused on compliance, and they do that through the structure of payroll policies, benefits, compensation, and employee relations, and just making sure the rules and structure are safe and fair. People ops is super focused on enablement. That's like you doing this. That's like you being the chef in the kitchen. If you're trying to do compliance and enablement, that is run the business and change the business mode. And that is too much for one person to do because people ops full time should be focused on goals and OKRs and sending those surveys regularly, a monthly survey, and acting on it. I know that sounds crazy, but if you have a properly staffed team, that's totally possible. They're the ones who are training your managers based on what employees are saying is making them nuts. So you can get really cool stuff happening here and drive a lot of engagement because you're going to solve everyone's problems, make teams more productive, get your managers to stop traumatizing everyone, and hear exactly why people hate working there. But it's this skill set, it doesn't upset them. All they hear is, oh, we can go make this better. I'm so excited. And then talent management is super focused on the development of getting the right people in the door and helping them grow so they stay. So that's why you can't get to updating your onboarding process. That's why recruiting is such a mess because you're like recruiting and you're dealing with interruptions. You're updating policies. You just did open enrollment. I know you all tell me like I can't keep up. It's like, oh my God, you guys, this is a job of like six or seven people, even if you only have 60 employees. So it might sound like a stretch, like, how am I going to staff my team? I teach you all of this. And once you start speaking revenue and showing the bottom line impact of running such a skinny HR team, executives will start to see you as a revenue driver and as a profit center, not just a necessary evil. So I think this is a really fun, fascinating way to show you one person could not do all this. How could you host a party while you're building the house, while you're trying to set up the furniture inside? Like, no wonder you've been so exhausted. Okay? All right, fourth myth, and then I got to shut up and answer all of your very smart questions. The last myth is the one that hurts the most, which is that executives don't get you. They don't see your value. Did I already do this one? Oh man, I hope I didn't mess up my slides and the drama. They're honestly, I've spoken to executives. They're actually so desperate for your help. They just don't understand what you're there for. They really do just think that your compliance, your benefits, oh, HR plans the company holiday party. They're talking in terms of revenue, growth, go faster. And you're at odds with them because you're like, bro, sis, like, we got to think about the people, the culture. You got to slow down. You're the tail wagging the dog. And this is like tale as old as time, right? You're speaking two different languages. I wish I had another slide to explain this further, but when you can properly hear the metrics that they care about and be like, okay, you want to grow our customer base by 10%. Employees are saying, based on surveys, that they don't have the right tools and equipment to do their work. People are burned out. In order for me to help you hit that goal, We need to make a strategic investment in my team so we can go fix some roadblocks for the revenue drivers. And I have this whole prompt you can even put into ChatGPT and get really specific about your company values. Hey, we value growth. So, like, why are we not living by this value? I teach you how to go get every little piece of evidence and reshape it and speak their language and get in their head and get them to see that you're actually on their side. You're here to make sure that they do accomplish and achieve their objectives and to help the company grow. But if they just focus on revenue, it's like the law of attraction, they push it away. Employees need to be listened to and taken seriously because we have a ton of innovation hidden and coded in our negative employee survey feedback. But if it sounds like, perfect lead into my next slide. If it sounds like, oh my God, I can't send a survey a month. I can't go have this conversation tomorrow and get into the revenue meeting. I'm not ready. I don't know how to, re completely reimagine my relationship with my CEO. I don't know how to go through negative employee feedback and pick the right thing. Look, I don't know if you can read this, but look at the, oh, there's a typo. That's cute. Look at the outline of this course. Some of these are titled like hilarious things I know that you need help with. Like, why are most workplaces so toxic? Your SHRM certifications don't cover this stuff. How do you have managers that don't suck? How do you overcome your survey stress or fear that you're going to get all this negative survey feedback? I teach you all of this. And today was like probably way too much information for you to ingest at once. But I wanted to give you a taste of this. And if you go on my website, Julie or someone, could you drop a link to the masterclass, which is if you just go to corporatechristie.com. I priced this, you don't have to buy it today. If you follow me online, you're going to learn and get better. But I priced this, if you want to get better quickly, it is like less than a 16th of the price of a SHRM training, okay? And I think it's gonna fill in the gaps a lot more than what even HRCI is gonna teach you. Nobody teaches this stuff. No one's gonna teach you how to speak revenue. No one teaches you how to see yourself as a revenue driver, or how to present data in a way that executives are going to listen to you. We get really tactical in here, and what I'm teaching you isn't my way, it's your way because your workforce is unique and what causes disengagement is so different at every company. But I teach you how to think for yourself because it's a puzzle that you can totally solve. And that's a skill you take with you at every company. And when you drive engagement and revenue, and you can point to those metrics and be like, I did that because I helped the employees do their best work, that's how you get promoted and taken more seriously by everybody. Okay. You don't have to buy this today, but when you're ready and you're fed up, this is going to take you a super far. You also get all of my like scripts and my checklists that I've been building ever since 5 years ago when I started doing this work. And I want to make it as easy as possible for you all to be incredible at what you do, get staffed, get resources, and finally get to do what you love, which is to solve problems and help people. And this helps you do it a lot faster. So, Jeezy peasy. You all asked some very smart questions in the Google form that I sent out, and some of you used the Q&A. I'm going to stay as long as I can, as long as someone's here and willing to listen. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, but you guys asked some great stuff, so let's dive in. So, I took some screenshots of a few questions I wanted to address. Someone asked, my role's been cut down to part-time, 50%, and I'm struggling to get everything done. I bet you are. This started at the beginning of Q3, right before open enrollment. Oof, our busiest time of the year. It's hard to juggle everything as a team of one, and being the most senior HR employee at this company with half the time. Okay, first of all, friend, whoever this was, I'm so sorry. Do you see, though, how after watching this, if you're here, this is a symptom of not being able to position yourself as someone who drives revenue for the business? I would say to this, speaking revenue is the best way to say, this is a bad business choice. I need to give you guys the engagement ROI breakdown. I'll put that in the chat. But when you can take Gallup's data and say, disengaged teams are like, that makes companies 23% less profitable. So when you can talk in big numbers and use research, you can tell executives, I know you're trying to save costs, whatever the reasoning is, this is probably a cost thing. You show them how this is actually going to cost them even way more in the long run with statistics of turnover And in this guide, I walk you through exactly how to use it and position your unique problem and take the data and like come up with a business case to tell them, this is a dumb idea. For right now, I want to heal your any imposter syndrome because that was another common theme. This is crazy. I'm curious how many employees you have, but I don't have to know. You could have 10 employees, and I bet this is hard because do you remember this slide? This is just the basics of what needs to happen at a healthy company. And you're probably doing all of this, which is like building a house while you're hosting a party. That's going to be impossible for anyone. So, the sooner we can get you to speak revenue to tell and advise executives why this is bad for their bottom line. You don't say this is bad for me. Executives don't care. It's not personal. They don't care about people problems. You have to paint their biggest fear with revenue. This is going to impact the bottom line. Okay. Good question. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Next question. We are an employee-owned company, so there's a lot of focus on our share value and concerns that money spent on things can lower our share value. However, we work in fields with several labor shortages and PE-backed companies that can offer way more than we can. So we need to do more to offer what benefits we need to do more to offer what benefits we can and have a better budget dedicated for benefits and help with our competitive advantage. Otherwise, the other recruitment and retention initiatives are not going to be optimal. Yeah, this is a great chance to use surveys to get employees to say that they hate the benefits or say that they're not good enough. You need proof that something's a problem, which is your surveys. You say, this is what the revenue drivers are saying, not the employees. When you talk to executives, you say, the revenue drivers said this. Just saying that alone, they're going to be like, you care about revenue? Heck yeah, I do. I'm revenue driver number one. I look after them so that we can make more money. Duh. You get the survey results and then you go price out what a solution would be. And you say, this actually saves us money in the long run. AI can help with a lot of this. I have a prompt that I would have given this person to be like, here's how you go get the information of the problem and position it as like, this is a huge money leak. I need to be more aligned with the business. I'm new to solar industry, not HR. Yeah, first of all, good for you for being self-aware. This is the problem, though. Executives often are like, oh, you're HR. This is a revenue meeting or this is a strategy meeting. We don't need you. And so for this person, I would say, no matter the industry, no matter the CEO, it's the same characters. Even in like whether you're in healthcare or you're in tech, I've worked in frontline organizations, I've worked in hotels, I've worked in all kinds of situations. It's the same types of CEOs and it's the same types of employees who disengage. So to this person, I would say I have some really great scripts to ask to be let into certain business meetings, but also listen to the all hands and figure out what metrics. Hopefully, you're having an all company meeting, but listen to what the executives are presenting data on. It's going to be your bottom line. We grew by this much, we shrunk by this much. Listen to what matters to them and hopefully they'll let you into revenue meetings so that you can start to hear the language. It is like learning Spanish or French for the first time. At first, you're going to be like, ARR, MRR, what? Which is why I have my cheat sheet for you. I'll give it to you in a second. But the more you can get curious and get up to speed with what metrics they care about, you don't have to be perfect, but you definitely need to be in alignment with the business, but they have to let you in. And sometimes they're a little resistant to that. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but that's when you got to speak early revenue driver language. Like, I'm enabling the revenue driver, so I would think you would want me in this meeting. I'm just here to help. So some executives can be avoidant when letting you in so that you can get aligned. So if that happens, all of you can send me a DM anytime and tell me specifically what issues you're having. But good for you for being aware. Some HR leaders I'm having to like get them to understand, which is okay. Like you need to be so curious about numbers and data at this company. And they're like, why? And so this person seems very self-aware. I wish I had my water. I had one more question and then I'm going to give you guys all my cheat sheets and then we can answer any other questions. Hopefully I don't choke because I really need a drink of water. So HR can contribute more value to the company when it is not simply an administrative function. Yes, totally. And relatedly, that investments into culture, L&D, and employee well-being aren't just nice to haves, but vital necessities for a thriving business. Yeah. Engagement is a revenue strategy. The problem, SHRM and the other certifications don't really teach you employee engagement. And I have come up with a survey cadence so that it's like realistic. I teach you all the different survey formats. I'm just shocked, to be honest, that a lot of these certifications don't go into great detail for you. When I was like, they don't teach, no one teaches this. I'm going to go teach. I couldn't believe we've made it this far in life in 2025. You all have no idea how underserved you've been for good content that, trust me, my masterclass isn't me rushing through content like this. You need to be properly taught. You can't do something that you don't know how to do. You're so right that the company needs to make investments and that they're not nice to haves. These are revenue initiatives because the employees drive the revenue. So once you get some practice for the first time learning how to position everything that you're doing and how it drives the business forward in terms of money, I teach you this. I gotta go grab some water. Um, that's how you can actually change their mind like big time. When you start talking about bottom line impact and the data of more engaged companies have 51% less turnover, you take everyone's salary, multiply it by 1.5, and you take your turnover count. I can teach you all this too. And you say every year with turnover alone, we're losing like $147,000. So these investments are to they're retention investments so that we stop hemorrhaging this invisible money. Okay. We also need to scale your team because all of you, I feel like, is probably true. We need to scale your team. We need to specialize your team because you guys are the change agents and the stabilizers. I need to run and get my water really quick, and then I'm going to give you guys all of my cheat sheets, and then we're going to answer any more questions. So, sorry, 1 second. I think I left it in my kitchen. Okay. Let me, before I forget, because I know people are going to have to go soon, we can answer more. I'm going to give you my cheat sheets really quick. Um, this should be, let's play a game. What link is this? This should be, oh, this is my engagement ROI cheat sheet. So please click on this. This is what you use when someone's like, this last question. We don't have budget for that. Show me the ROI. Turnover is just part of the industry. Don't worry about it. Don't work on that. It's not a priority. Well, dear executive, no offense, you don't really understand how business works because at the very bottom of this cheat sheet, I've linked Gallup's research, and your executive's going to want to see this because this is your silver bullet. Engaged employees, because you are properly staffed and you're looking after the employee experience. If you see the important stats at a glance, these are the ways that you position why what you're doing is good or bad for the business. Like if we don't do this, we're not going to be 23% more profitable. This is real data that shows employees don't need perfection, by the way. Like if you just send surveys and act on it, that's really all it takes. Um, I go into different examples of how you can use these stats. Like engaged companies have 63% less safety incidents. Like if you have a frontline, that's huge, especially in hospitals and manufacturing. There's less theft. There's 78% less absenteeism. Like 78%. What you're arguing here and what you're actually having to do is like remind them of the golden rule, which is why sometimes you're like, why am I so misunderstood? Because you never lost your superpower of empathy. You never forgot the golden rule. The other executives got to where they are because sometimes they stomped on heads and accidentally ruined people's lives, or they purposely ruined people's lives. We're not going to get into that. They like forgot and they don't even really trust that treating employees as real shareholders and drivers of revenue and taking them seriously is the path to more revenue. This data, executives want data, they don't care about your opinion. You find a way to say, see, This has been researched for 5 decades, and the global workforce is disengaged, so this is our best competitive advantage, actually. So if you have questions about this, I made this the other night. I hope there's no typos. Let me know if you end up using this. You can go ahead and make a copy right now, or just send me a message later and I'll send it to you. The other thing I wanted to give you is my business case for sending surveys. This also has some data in it that executives will be like, don't send a survey. That's going to be a huge interruption that we can't afford right now. Or it's like, we're too busy for this. Things are really bad right now. Don't send a survey. We send a survey, especially when things are bad, because we need to know what's going on with the revenue drivers. What are the blockers on the teams? That's all we're doing. So let me grab my other cheat sheet. You can't do your job blind. Never work for a CEO who won't let you send surveys because you will get fired and they'll be like, "What value do you bring to the business?" And you're going to be like, "Are you insane?" You need to be able to talk to the revenue drivers while you're doing your admin stuff. If you can't get them to get it, which is what I'm about to show you, it's like a script. If I could stop talking, I could pull it up. Hold on. Elder millennial mom brain. Here we go. Business case. Here we go. When you can say, hey, this is actually like a business initiative that I'm doing here for you, buddy. You take this and you plug and play. Let me paste it. I've had lots of HR leaders use this. This is my most high performing template that I've made, script, if you will. And you just, executives want to know what's in it for them. How does this drive the business forward? How much is this going to cost me? What are you talking about? Never go to them nervous. Fake your confidence until you can make it. I know it's intimidating and they like can eat you up sideways and just chew you out and be like, "No, we're not doing this because I said so." They need a business case. You give them this and you show them what you're doing, how you're planning on doing it, why it's going to drive the business forward. Turnover is expensive, disengagement hurts revenue. It's all in here. You give this to them and you say, "Let me know when you can discuss. I'm sending a survey so that we can hit our revenue goals. Here you go. Here's what I'm doing. When can you discuss?" And give them time with this because if they look at this, there's just enough stats in here to where, like I said, a few people that I've given this to are like, "Oh my God, it's like night and day." I went from don't send a survey to when do I get to look at the results with you? Because they understood the survey was for driving revenue. Employees, this is another thing I teach you. You teach them, you don't just tell employees to take the survey because they get scared. They're like, "Am I going to get fired?" You have to tell them what's in it for them. Hey, I'm just here to turn this company into a great place to work. I can't do that if you don't tell me why it stinks. I'm totally expecting negative feedback. That gives them the psychological safety to take it. Managers need a different message. You say, "This is for a more productive team. I need you to encourage your team to take this because then I can dedicate resources to fix blockers on your team." So you can kind of see how hopefully. What I discussed today is such a big topic that nobody touches. No one properly teaches this. So I'm just going to drop a link to the masterclass if you're interested. It's the early bird price because I'm still adding a few modules in here, but I would love to have you in the masterclass because I go into great detail. You can watch these lessons. I'm turning it into a mobile app. So if you're in a pinch and you're like, "What was that script to tell my CEO? He or she is full of it." And like, what do I say? I'm going to make this like at the ready for you, all of this. And I have so many other templates. On top of just sending you how to send surveys. That's the most meaty chunk of doing your job well. You never guess what's wrong. You always ask your employees what's wrong, you know? Okay, let me answer. We're almost at time. I'm a Greek Italian Midwesterner. I'm sorry that I did not script my slides so that I could stay on track. I monologued a little bit, but if you have to go, send me a message. We can talk more. But I'm going to answer some questions and hopefully the people are still here that I'm answering for. So, Amy, Amy Smith. How do I get past being ignored by my boss? Oh, Leanne asked if the masterclass is live. It's asynchronous. It's on demand. It's not like cohort based. Once you buy it too, it's always up to date. So I'm always swapping out with new information and the latest best practices. So you once you purchase it, you always have access to it and it keeps getting better. Okay, Amy asked, how do I get past being ignored by my boss? Ugh, avoidant, just like my ex-husband. Your boss is the CEO. He tells me that I'm an important part of the leadership team, but I'm ignored at almost every turn. I'm the first HR person this company has had. Okay, well, yeah, so that's probably a little bit of it. You all are so self-aware. I love it. They're not used to having someone there who is as smart and as strategic as you. And most executives, when they haven't had experience with a good equipped HR leader who's demonstrated that they can actually speak revenue and run with them and that they're not there to just like stop all their good ideas, a lot of executives are like, don't invite HR because they're just going to put the kibosh on the whole thing. Like a lot of executive teams and leadership teams will go make decisions in secret. This is a lot of my satire wig content where Julie's like, hello, is this a revenue meeting? Why am I not in here? I would say you two need to have a regular recurring one-on-one. I have a script in the masterclass in the, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a community where you can, bring this up without it being weird and without sounding like I need help or like, why aren't you paying attention to me? There's a way to say this that's like, hey, I'm excited about these initiatives that just rolled out. When are we going to meet regularly so I can, we can get in lockstep about how we're going to enable the revenue drivers to get there, You two need to be regularly talking and relationship building, but I know you have the want and the will there. We have to get them to understand how to get you, what you're there for. And I even have a very blunt section of this template, this little script that's like, hey, you made a really good hire. I'm not the average HR leader. For the sake of, I super care about the bottom line because by caring about the employees, that is the bottom line. Here's what I'm thinking. What's you really like the ideal situation is to get an executive to trust you enough to come to you when they're scared and come to you when they feel like the business is failing because all you're going to do is spin them around, dust the dirt off their knees and be like, you know, I'm here to make you great at your job. You can't do this by yourself either. You're not driving the revenue, you're driving the vision. I'm talking to the revenue drivers. Let's go ask them what's up. Let's together, you know, focus on removing roadblocks for them. They wouldn't do it with you, but then you can present to them the findings and you're like, see, this is good. A workforce that's talking to us. They believe in you. A lot of executives, oh my God. I didn't work in HR, but I've done a lot of executive coaching for this stuff. They cry a lot. They get upset. Men and women finally break down when they feel safe enough to say, just like you guys, I'm so isolated. There's so much pressure. They, you two are like partners in disengagement and revenue crime when you can crack that code. So, Amy, if you want to talk more, send me a message and I can give you my script for that. Um, does anyone else have a question? It looks like the rest of it was when had the chat disabled. The other Julia, she's got 5,000 nationwide services. Or no, 5,000 employees nationwide. Oh my God. How big is your HR team? That's wild. You all are doing a lot. You're expected to do the impossible with nothing, I think if you've seen as you've seen. And whatever with SHRM, we don't need SHRM, okay? Keep your certification until it expires. I'm not telling you even to just not re-up. I'm just saying they don't have the golden answers. They're not going to get you there. This stuff that you're learning here is going to teach you that you are revenue driver number one. I'm here to tell you right now, organizations need you now more than ever. I know you felt underappreciated, not taken seriously, not given proper anything to do anything, but all of that changes when you shift your mindset as revenue driver number one and you go into these situations and you're a very rare type of HR leader. Some people just want to sit around with a victim mentality and say HR is so hard, this isn't fair, poor me. And there's a place for that. There's a place for grief, but we can't stay there forever. The future of HR is here, and everyone, the whole world is disengaged until and miserable and traumatized. God, as the employees of some of these companies, like horror stories, all of this hinges on all of you being equipped to say enough. This is like some serious cycle breaker shit. Sorry for saying a bad word. This is how we break out of this toxic burnout culture and still have profitable companies and rewarding careers where we change people's lives and we actually still made money for the business. Employees, when invested in properly by you, will make the company so much more money. 23%. That's a lot of money. If you make 10 million ARR, which is your annual recurring revenue, oh shoot, I picked a tough number and I can't do math, but that's many millions. That's 12 million. That wasn't that hard. It's exciting. It's like, I can't believe this is so new and that we get to do this together. I can't believe no one's taught this. I'm doing it as imperfectly as I can, but I super believe in all of you because you are some of the most organized, strategic, logical, empathetic leaders that I've ever met in my entire life. And I have goosebumps just saying that. You all have told me on these calls so many amazing stories, but like also like how your heart's just breaking that you can't do what you love, which is to solve problems and help people. We're finally going to get you to that point. And if your CEO that you're currently with doesn't get it, we're going to get you at a company that does get it. Because do you know how starving an executive is to hear an HR leader interviewing and talking about revenue and bottom line impact? That is so rare. And for you, it's going to become so easy and second nature because it is what you do. You drive revenue, but you also help the employees do their best work. They're not different. It's not one or the other. We're going to get you so good at figuring out who you're talking to, talking about what they care about, and positioning yourself as the answer and the solution to it. And you don't have to worry about messing it up because as long as you act on employee feedback correctly, you're always going to be driving engagement and fixing the right issues at your company. It's this playbook, this mindset, this new age HR is so exciting because you can't lose. The only way you lose is if you stay with a CEO who makes you doubt yourself, makes you feel like you deserve to suffer, and doesn't take you seriously. And if you attended this webinar, and especially if you're still listening, I know that's not you. It's a whole new like glow up into this whole new era, and I can't wait to see it happen and become more mainstream. So, uh-oh, chat's disabled. Why is chat disabled? Sorry, that was my. Feel like I just went to church for a second. Sometimes I get really passionate because I lived what it was like for all of you to be so underwater, and it's not okay. Chat. How do I enable chat? Okay, we're just gonna have to use Q&A. Wait. Oh, is anyone still here? I lost my window. I know you're here, Julie. Jessica, you're here. I just want to like whoever's still listening. I'm being so super serious. This movie's about you. You know that joke online like, is this movie about us? This is you have never been more business critical, and with more millennials and Gen Z executives coming into these leadership positions who are more open to mental health and are more open to they haven't all forgotten their golden rule and their empathy, but you are finally going to be like the reason a company succeeds, the reason employees are crying and cheering at an all hands because the company hit the revenue numbers and everyone understood how they laddered up and all the teams knew what was expected of them to get their projects done. They're not burned out. It's not perfect, but like the managers are so proud of the teams because they're humble and they've been trained with their soft skills to lead up healthy teams as coaches, not as evil dictators. Employees respect their managers and feel like it's a healthy relationship. The team is so proud. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing. I've worked at one company that did this, that's inspired a lot of this content. And it is so fulfilling. It is so exciting. And you can have an all hands where all parts of the business in any industry are like, yes, they told us we were trying to hit that metric. I knew that was important. We did it. High five. We did that because we're on the front line and we focused on this. We did this because we're in sales, marketing, customer success, a product, whatever. And we were focused on this, which laddered up to we did it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be awful to go to work. And it doesn't have to be awful to be the person who's looking after the people at the company. It's actually really fulfilling and exciting. The shoes you get to step into in this new era where you are it. Everything is hinging on you. And that's not a pressure thing because like I just said, you can't get it wrong so long as you learn to speak revenue, which you will. It's not that hard. You learn to speak revenue and you go talk to the revenue drivers, you have the keys to everything that is busted. And you're going to look like you have a magical crystal ball and you will create a situation where your CEO like rushes into your office or like slacks you and is like, "What should I do?" Can you imagine a world where you've built that much trust where basically, I shouldn't say this, but it's like you are the neck turning the head. I was going to say you are running the company. Of course, the CEO is, but you are informing their decisions so much that they're the right decisions for the people. And then the business also excels. Like, it's exciting. So that's at the end. But I hope to see you all online. Follow me on TikTok. Things get funny and wild over there. I'm excited for you. Let me know if you ever want to talk. Everybody's probably gone. Thanks, Julie. Oh, Amy's still here. Um, Send me a message anytime. I'm always here for you, and I'm always posting helpful videos. So, whatever level of comfort of whatever you're ready to invest in your training, I'm here for you at every level. And I appreciate you. If your employees have never told you, I will tell you, as the formerly disengaged employee, you're great at what you do. And thank you so much for all the things that you do that we don't even see. You are awesome. Okay. If no one has any other questions, I'm going to let you all go. And we will talk very soon. I'll probably do another webinar that's deeper on surveys and less like this one was probably too much content. We're going to go just on one specific topic in the future. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for everything. Bye. And.